Love Song Podcast, the Love Song Media Production. I'm T Love solo as PK is taking some personal time. I believe it's church camp time for him and his family. So we want to wish him well this week. So we're going to finish out the week solo. I'm going to try to do my best to do as good of a job as PK does with our sponsor, Shirts and More out of Wheeling, West Virginia. Tracy, Braxton, Dana, their whole team up there do a really good job of sponsoring us and all of our garb on set that we wear, as Keith likes to say. They're located at 2517 Jacob Street in Wheeling, West Virginia. You can reach out to them at 304-232-2030. Again, Tracy, Dana, or Braxton, or any of the helpful staff there at Shirts and More will be able to help you. We want to send out a lot of love and appreciation to Shirts and More for sponsoring us and our podcast and our venture, and we can't thank them enough for what they do for us. So thank you. As you can see, I'm in a different studio tonight, tonight, whatever. These things are pre-recorded. I am in a conference room overlooking a beautiful Mobile Bay. But it is what it is. We're going to get into Season 1, Episode 19, the new War Games Playbook. As political pressure builds to reduce U.S. military assistance to Israel, Section 224 of the defense budget for 2027 provides the framework for continuing and expanding the U.S.-Israel military ties by entrenching Israeli technology within the U.S. defense supply chain in a way that would shield it from the annual appropriations process. The use of must-pass legislation as the NDAA as a mechanism of integration speaks to the plummeting popularity of continuing unconditional support to Israel. The original text of this session is derived from H.R. 7540 and S. 3855. It is the U.S.-Israel Futures Act, sponsored by Republican out of Texas, Jackson, and Republican out of North Carolina, Budd, which direct the Department of Defense, or Department of War, whichever one you want to call it, to formalize deeper cooperation and integration. Section 224 of the proposed fiscal year 2027 defense budget, NDAA, establishes that the United States-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative, it mandates deep, unprecedented military-industrial integration between the U.S. and Israel. As I like to tell PK, buckle up, because this one's going to be pretty toasty. The key details of this provision is an executive agent. It requires the Secretary of Defense to designate a specific Pentagon official to oversee, synchronize, and expedite cooperative efforts. Deep tech collaboration. The initiative expands bilateral research, development, and co-production of cutting-edge weapons. Technologies involved include artificial intelligence, quantum computing, autonomous systems, directed energy, and biotechnology. Data fusion. It proposes network integration and data fusion, aiming to link the U.S. military supply chains, systems, and data networks with the Israeli military. Legislative status. The provision is advancing as part of the House Armed Services Committee's markup of the 2027 NDAA. In early June, a committee amendment introduced by Representative Ro Khanna, Democrat out of California, to strike down Section 224 from the bill was rejected in a voice vote. I want to pause real quickly, and I'll tell you what, I'll come back to that at the end once I'm done. We'll do our talking points. Let's just go through Section 224 so that you, the viewers, can understand a little bit better about what it is and how it is and all the different things. As I said a moment ago, it would direct the Secretary of Defense or Secretary of War to designate an executive agent, EA, to expand and accelerate deeper integration of Israel into U.S. institutions. The EA would be solely focused on implementing Section 224. EA authority takes precedence over the authority of the DoD component heads per DoD Instructions 5101.01, meaning that the EA would be able to overrule determinations by other DoD agencies, such as the Defense Technology Security Administration, or better known as the DTSA, on Israeli access to U.S. technology. The appointment of an EA would replace direct congressional oversight with the supervision by the Secretary of War. There would be no congressional confirmation or ability for removal of an EA by Congress. No congressional oversight. Bad mistake. Section A1 seeks to integrate American and Israeli research and developmental programs by encouraging the direct use of Israeli manufactured technology into the U.S. systems, including its military programs. This would render the United States dependent on Israel's provisions of such technologies, thus giving Israel a significant amount of leverage over future American policy and infrastructure. I'm not taking a deep breath because I'm out of breath. I'm taking a deep breath because that scares me. It really, really scares me. I want to read that again so that the viewers understand this. This would render the United States dependent on Israel's provision of such technologies, thus giving Israel a significant amount of leverage over future American policy and infrastructure. This would go beyond the typical bilateral relationship by significantly enhancing Israeli leverage through control of critical U.S. military supply chains, and may also inherently give preference to Israeli technologies over U.S. origin competitors. Number 3, A2, ensuring collaborative research initiatives involving government, private sector, and academic institutions in the United States and Israel is done in a manner that protects sensitive technology and information and the national security interest of the United States and Israel. This provision would further entangle the defense supply chains of Israel and the United States across government, private, and academic sectors, which blurs the lines of territorial integrity and political sovereignty. The provisions assume that U.S. and Israeli national security policies and objectives are inseparable, despite very clear current evidence, the Iran conflict, for instance, that they can be divergent. The Israel defense manufacturers are often direct competitors to the U.S. industry, establishing licenses and co-production agreements to have Israeli companies manufacture in the United States would enhance Israel's competitiveness in the U.S. market by sidestepping Buy American provisions. Furthermore, licensing agreements could give Israel companies access to intellectual property for weapon systems that they are directly competing against. This includes cooperative efforts. The synchronized cooperative efforts under subsection A may be carried out through the following domains. There's the counter-unmanned systems, including aerial, maritime, and ground platforms, anti-tunneling and subterranean threats, missile and air defense technologies, artificial intelligence, quantum, machine learning, and autonomous systems, directed energy and advanced sensing, cyber defense, electronic warfare, digital resilience, biotechnology, biomanufacturing, and medical defense, network integration, data fusion, contested logistics, defense, industrial-based cooperation, manufacturing and co-production, and other emerging technologies as jointly agreed by the United States and Israel. So what does all of this really mean in plain English, T-Love? To me, it means that Donald J. Trump, President Trump, just linked our defense systems with those in Israel, which means if Israel is threatened, our CENTCOM would react as if we were threatened. So every little conflict that Benjamin Netanyahu now wants to get involved in, he can, knowing that no matter what happens, whether it be Lebanon, Turkey, Iran, Iraq, UAE, doesn't matter. Anyone over there retaliates against Israel, our CENTCOM will basically go to DEFCON 3 or DEFCON 2 because it will take it as a threat against the United States. And as such, we're going to protect the threat against the United States, but in this instance, it's not the United States being threatened, it would be Israel. Democrat Congressman Ro Khanna is on record stating that Benjamin Netanyahu told the United States Congress to add Section 224. Let me repeat that. Democrat Congressman Ro Khanna is on record stating that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, told the United States Congress to add Section 224. To all of our viewers out there, all I can say is just wake up. We're being sold off. The Clintons sold us off, to Russia. And we've had, our manufacturing companies sell us off to Mexico, Indonesia, China, so on and so forth. Right now, we're being sold off to Israel. I understand they're our ally. This ain't biblical. It's biblical, but not in the sense that everybody wants to get up in arms about. We're creating the end times here. Donald J. Trump, the people, the man that everybody says is appointed or anointed by God to be where he's at right now. I can't say, yeah, that's true, and I can't say, no, that's not true, other than the fact that I can tell you if you read the Bible and you read Revelations, things that Donald Trump is doing is getting us closer to the Antichrist, to the third temple being built, to the rapture taking place. That's not being anti-Semitic. That's just calling things brutally honest for what they are. You take a look at what Trump is doing with digital currency. He's already done away with the penny. And, the excuse is, well, it costs more to make it than it does for what it's good, right? Okay. But Bitcoin, Trump is big into that. He's got his own social media network, which that came about because Twitter and Facebook and all the rest of them, banned him, violated his civil rights in doing so, but banned him. But everything this man is doing, and I'm going to do, hopefully PK will be back next week, and we're going to do the things that I'm finding out about the ties to Jared Kushner and Benjamin Netanyahu since he's been a baby boy. My mind is blown. PK and I go through these production calls. We discuss things, and he's like, man, where do you come up with this from? And I'm just digging. There's all kind of data out there, and you have to be careful when you go out here digging because you can dig up the wrong stuff, right? And anytime I find something, I then try to go find something to validate it. And then I try to go find a piece to validate that. And once I get 3, 4, 5 articles or 3, 4, 5 pieces of data, if you will, that validates what I'm looking at as accurate, I run with it. I feel like at that point it's good. Here's the other problem with validating data. The young man who shot Donald J. Trump, most people don't even know his name. His last name is Crooks, I think. Yeah. Americans know killers. We know who shot Lincoln. We know who shot Kennedy. We know about Jeffrey Dahmer. We know about Bundy. You know, we this stuff is ingrained into us. We watch the TV programs and the made for, the biographies and the made for TV movies and the A&E specials and the History Channel specials. We're all of this stuff is ingrained into us, right? But you don't know anything about the boy that shot Trump. And the part that disturbs me the most is 6 months before this boy shot Trump, someone in Israel Googled his name. Google has now erased that information. You can't find it on Google. That's my problem with the American media. That's my problem with American news sources, if you will. That's my problem with big tech. If you look at all the people who own big tech, you look at their backgrounds. I think PK said that, I believe it was PK, or I may have heard somebody else say it, but I think it was PK that said that the guy that runs Facebook, Zuckerberg, was, I think, an atheist. And since he's had children, he is bringing them up in the Judeo-Christian, Jewish. How do you go from being an atheist to being Jewish? The guy that runs Meta has already been sued. His company is responsible for them a lot of disinformation out there. And then when you go to the Alphabet community, some more of the same people own it. And that data has been erased. You can't track. You should be able to, but they are deleting it. They're taking it off. They don't want you to know about it. Just like a post was posted from, I think, Twitter, which is now X, from the Department of Homeland Security. And when somebody tracked that post down, that post came from Israel. And they've made up every excuse in the world of why that's not true and all this kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. To all the viewers out there, I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. You're being lied to. You're being lied to by the Democrat Party. You're being lied to by the Republican Party. You're being lied to by the Bush administration, the Obama administration, the Biden administration, and you're being lied to by the Trump administration. I was a huge fan of Trump. Still am. I don't care for the man, but the president. But he took $230 million from AIPAC. I believe the shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania was not Iran. I don't believe that guy was a lone wolf. I don't believe he was radicalized. I don't believe any of that mess. I believe that boy was recruited. I believe he was a servant of the Israeli government, maybe Mossad. There's roughly 75,000 pages that the FBI has on this kid. And if my sources are correct, the Department of the DOJ is releasing about 1,200 of those pages a month. Now you do the math. 75,000 at 1,200 a month. I'll be dead before they get all of those out. Which goes back to today's episode, the new War Games playbook. Benjamin Netanyahu asked Congress. Now keep in mind that Benjamin Netanyahu is the only foreign diplomat, the only foreign leader of any country that can get on a plane and fly to the United States, walk in to Congress and sit down and doesn't need an invitation. Not by the president, not by Congress. That's how much power this man has. And now he has asked our Congress to adopt this Section 224 into the Department of Defense's 2027 budget. And when they do, if they do, the United States will be intertwined with the Israeli government. The same Israeli government that killed John F. Kennedy. The same Israeli government that bombed the USS Liberty. The same Israeli government that withheld crucial information back in the late 70s or early 80s that Marines got killed in Beirut. They knew about it and didn't tell us. And we had people to lose their lives because of it. The same Israeli government that I believe is behind the Epstein files. I honestly and truly believe that the United States government, going all the way back to probably World War I, is intertwined with the European Jewish population, but not in the Christian sense, but in the flesh. We discussed this on a couple episodes back. And I honestly and truly believe that Israel has a nuclear arsenal. It is the only country in the world that the UN does not inspect their nuclear arsenal because they're not supposed to have one. It's kind of a secret, but it's not a secret. If my sources are correct, I think Benjamin Netanyahu is sitting on 223 nuclear missiles. I want you to think about this. This is a man that while Trump is trying to work out a peace plan with Iran, this guy goes and starts bombing hell out of Lebanon. And I think over the weekend, Iran and Israel exchanged some rocket fires, right? If we intertwine our two governments, we intertwine our computer systems and our militaries and all the different things that go into this. I mean, I read it off just a few minutes ago where, let me go over here. This is where my co-host comes in to play a lot. We're talking about intertwining it with across our government, our private sector, and our academic sectors. I'm a big, PK and I are big supporters of the fact that we believe that these people already control our media. They already control our economy. They already control our academia. And now they're about to control our government. And like I said, if they get fired upon, someone attacks them, our CENTCOM is going to go to DEFCON 3 or DEFCON 2, and we're going to go over there and we're going to fight. Nobody wants that. Nobody. Except for a few people. I'm blown away. When I found this last week, I started doing, about a week and a half ago, I started doing some deep diving on it. And I'm blown away, ladies and gentlemen. Blown away. I don't know what to tell you. I want to give some props. I want to go back to what I said I was going to do at the beginning, but I said I'd do it in our commentary section, that Representative Ro Khanna, Democrat out of California, I don't respect a lot of elected officials. I probably respect a handful, and that's on both sides of the aisle. But the more I read about Ro Khanna from California, I've got a little bit of respect for him. Him and Thomas Massey are the ones that was reading some of the names of the Epstein files on the congressional floor. Representative Khanna is here trying to strike down Section 224, and it got voted down by a voice vote. I'm going to have to do some digging into Representative Ro Khanna and find out exactly, is he eccentric? I don't know that he's radical. Otherwise, he wouldn't be wanting to release the Epstein files. And I mean, all of them screamed that they want to do it, but none of them are. This guy actually got on the congressional floor, on the House floor, and read names, him and Thomas Massey. I mean, that takes some brass. Phew. Nonetheless, it is what it is. Episode 19 is in the books. Until we see you on episode 20, God bless.